It's the final week of the Mega Mattress Event at Ashley Home Store, only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store. Pay no interest for 8 years on queen mattresses from Tempur-Pedic and iComfort, both starting at just $21 a month. Or save up to $1,000 on select queen mattresses from Beautyrest and Sealy Posturepedic. Hurry in now for the Mega Mattress Event, only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store, Ashley Home Store. This is home. Offer subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payment required. See store for details.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Parenting Aces radio show on Blog Talk Radio's UR Tennis Network. I am coming at you live from the BB&T Atlanta Open, sitting in the lobby of the 12 Hotel, which is the player hotel and kind of the command center for most of the tournament, and where I've been spending a lot of time so far this week. And I'm really excited because I've got sitting next to me Andrew Carter, who is a young up-and-coming pro player. He played in the qualifying here. Unfortunately, didn't make it out of the qualifying draw, but I'm going to let him talk about his experience and what's on tap for him. He grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina, was a top player in North Carolina, top player in the South, top player in the country, went on to play at Louisville for 4 years and earned a political science degree there, which that's my degree too, so kind of cool. And has been plugging away at his professional tennis career and has just recently launched a new website on top of everything else. So I'm really excited to have you with us, Andrew. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's very exciting to be here with you and to be on the Parenting Aces live radio show. Thank you so much for having me.
So this is so cool for you this week. You have spent a lot of time in Atlanta. You told me yesterday that you grew up playing a lot of tennis here, training here. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like, moving away from your parents for a bit and coming to Atlanta to train as a kid?
Yeah, so, actually, I grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is kind of a little hotbed in the South for tennis. We had, Isner. We had a lot of Southern champions and players from the South that played at a high level in Greensboro. So I actually did live in Greensboro, and I was in public school there. But I would, leave on the weekends to go play tournaments and train with some different coaches and things like that. But it was it's very challenging for any teenager who's playing tennis very seriously and competitively. Especially as I did in public school, because you have your teenage crisis, developing, becoming yourself as a teenager and going through the thing through high school, and then also you have what I like to tell people is the junior tennis world community, because growing up in this junior tennis world, you have kind of your own separate group of friends that you see at the tennis tournament. And back in my day, we didn't really have cell phones, so we used to actually, chat online, back on AOL and stuff, and we'd be really excited to see each other at the tennis tournament and on the weekends. And so you kind of had an actual separate tennis community within the tennis, junior tennis world. So it was very cool to have that experience as well as, the normal public school experience. It taught me a lot of things, about discipline and time management because, as a high school kid, you have, your academics, your grades. I did play high school tennis my freshman year, but the other years I was really focusing on my national ranking, my southern ranking, and my North Carolina ranking. So I didn't have the chance to play high school tennis those last 3 years because I was trying to be playing a lot of big tournaments then. But it taught me really how to be disciplined at a young age, at 14, 15, 13, how to, have your friends in school, how to do your homework every night, and then go and train, 4 hours and wake up. I woke up in the morning before school and, trained, did some things with my dad and, things to try and equal the playing field with some people who are doing homeschool. And that really instilled in me a passion for actually liking to work hard because I thought it made me stand out because, everyone at school was like, oh, that's the guy who he plays tennis. He's not going, to a lot of like the movies and stuff on the weekends with all the other kids, and he's going to go travel to some tennis tournament. So I kind of stood out that way, but it was really my passion. So the sacrifices, I think for me personally, were worth it. I always tell people that, do I miss, hanging out with other kids, doing normal teenager stuff. But really, I don't think I missed out anything, because the opportunities that I have now are really because of those sacrifices that I made then. So really, I think I've been rewarded a lot for those sacrifices that I took when I was 13, 14, 15, traveling with my mom. Because my dad was always working, so traveling with my mom on the weekends. She took off from work to go, so I know that experience. You're traveling with your parent, and you're in the hotel, and you're playing a bullfrog or a southern, section tournament, and you have to miss school on that Monday, and I know all that, all those experiences.
Yeah.
So it's can definitely relate with that kind of lifestyle for sure.
Was there ever a point where you felt burnout from tennis, and how did you handle that?
So I started tennis actually at age 3. My older brother is 9 years older than me, so he actually was starting tennis at age 12, and he was my big brother, and I literally wanted to do anything that he wanted to do. He was playing tennis, I'm on the tennis court just kind of literally like picking up the balls and tossing them to him. That was, for me, in my mind, that was tennis, just throw the ball over the net or something like that. And that got me on the tennis court at age 3. So I was really pretty young when I first started tennis. And seeing my brother play, and that really gave me a passion for it. And then my dad was very supportive of me. My mom was very supportive of me playing tennis. So all through my early stages, I think I played my first tennis tournament. Actually, I know when I played my first tournament, I was 8 years old. And I'll never forget this. My cousin, who my cousin who actually passed away now, but she was one of my really close friends.
Aww.
And I was playing the Dark Branch tennis tournament in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is very, very small. It's like a 10 and under tennis tournament, right? And I think I can't remember if I won it. I was in the finals of the tournament. I got a trophy.
Okay.
I don't really remember if I won or lost, but I got a trophy. That's what little kids remember.
Of course.
I got a trophy, and I remember Misty, which was my cousin. At the same time, Wimbledon was going on, and she was like, "Oh, Andrew, look at that Wimbledon trophy. Isn't it so pretty? Does it look like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I really like that trophy." And she's like, "Well, are you gonna keep trying to play tennis until you can one day, be in that tournament?" And I was like, you know what? I really want to. I want to, try and play Wimbledon and try that tournament and US Open and all these kind of things. And that's when, that's the first time I told anyone like that, and I was probably only maybe 8 years old then.
Wow.
And that's when she told my parents, and everyone was, like, wow, that's awesome. You have a passion this young for it. So I really showed my passion, I guess, young. And that passion has stuck with me all the way through my career. Obviously, tennis is a very demanding sport. It's demanding physically. It's also demanding mentally. Actually, maybe more mentally than physically, especially because with tennis, it's a sport where you are developing skills at such a young age, like discipline, time management, focus, concentration. You're developing those skills, as a 5-year-old, as a 6-year-old, as a 10-year-old.
Right.
They're not actually teaching you, hey, this is how you do discipline. They're teaching you, hey, you need to show up to practice at 4:30. You need to run these laps. I'm telling you, you need to do the footwork, step with your left foot. And all those things, I think are great ways to teach kids great life skills and morals and all those kinds of things without, while still having fun. So with that, that was also kind of helping me. That's why my tennis wasn't too much of a burden when I was younger. It was really helping me grow more as a person. And then when I started playing, junior tennis, 12 and 14 in the North Carolina region and the southern region when I were traveling. I remember seeing lots of kids who were, starting to go off to academies, and I remember playing the boys 12 clay court super national championships, which at the time was hosted in Greensboro, North Carolina, which was
wow.
City.
Yeah.
So I played that, and that was pretty cool because you're one of the best, whatever 12-year-olds in the nation, or
I wish y'all could see his face right now.
Yeah, because I just remember, I actually still have the hat in that tournament. I tell the tournament director all the time. But, I saw you have all these kids, and it's really fascinating. If you look at the draw of that tournament, I think there was 196 players in that tournament, I think, the toughest draws. So it's very fascinating to see how many players of those players from 12 continued to 14, 16, and 18, and then how many of those players from 12 played in Kalamazoo at 16 and 18, and then how many of those players, made it all the way to college tennis, or there's actually a good number of those players, for the ATP rankings now. So it's pretty cool to see that.
You came up in a pretty impressive group of players.
Yeah.
Name drop for us.
Well, I was, in North Carolina, we had some national champion, Kevin Galloway, who was a national champion in the southern region. We had, Kenneth Engren. We had Ryan Williams. We had Jameer Jenkins, who were pretty top in the South. We had a guy named Ryan Noble, who was pretty top in the nation. This guy actually was sitting behind me, Kevin King, was one of the top guys in the nation as well. He was also from the South.
He played
at Georgia Tech. Yeah, he was a great player. Been doing fantastic on the professional circuit. We had, we've had a lot of guys in the South that have turned into players with ATP rankings.
Right.
So it's actually pretty funny because you have these people who are saying, oh, you're only playing, sectional or designated tournament. You need to go play out of ITF. But really, it's the competition level. For us, we were having great competition, and that, helped all of us get better. Yes, some of us did go and play ITF and nationals, but our competition every weekend was so high that it really helped all of us get better.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty exciting at those times, and I think, but going back to the burned out thing, and in juniors, I think maybe when I was starting the college process, recruiting process.
Mm-hmm. Like your junior year, sophomore year?
My junior year. Actually, when I started, I was, very eager, very excited. But the process was very long and grueling, especially for, high school kids.
Yeah.
Because, everyone's going to college and you're having good friends. And it's a daunting task, really. It's a very, at the time, it's probably the most maybe important decision that you're really making on your own.
Absolutely.
So it's very important. So I thought maybe during that middle time, I really started pressing in my tennis, in my academics at high school, and I really started feeling pressure for the first time, having to perform, having these expectations, trying to make a big decision. And I really, praise my parents for being very supportive, not pushing me too hard, understanding what I was going through. And they actually let me take a little break from tournaments for maybe a month or two. And I really just focused on my academics and just practicing them. And that, helped me refocus on what my goals were, helped me get a clean, my body was feeling more healthy, my mindset was in a better place. So that's one time I did feel pressure and, a little bit of that. Also, another time was in college. So I went to University of Louisville from 2008 to 2012. Our teams were the most successful in program history, which was very exciting. We got to the highest number 10 in the nation in NCAA Division I.
Who were some of your teammates at Louisville?
So some of my teammates were Austin Childs. He actually made the NCAA finals. He lost to Bradley Cron in the finals in Athens. So he was a top player. Simon Childs was another top player. Victor Maximchuk was another top player. We had some American, Robert Hall, who was also from the South. He was maybe number one in the South and was a very top player. He was very, was an integral part of our team winning we won 3 biggest championships, which was very cool.
Wow.
And I want to say my junior year, about the middle of my junior year, so my sophomore year was we made it to top 10 in the nation. We had only sophomores and juniors playing.
Wow.
And we finished at Sweet 16, and it was a great accomplishment, and we were very excited for our junior year. So our junior year, we had a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure, a lot of people were looking at our team. Our team did very well. We made national indoors, made Sweet 16 for national indoors and things, but we were staying around the 10 to 12 ranking, 20 to 15 ranking. So we weren't doing as well as we wanted to.
Mm-hmm. And
for any team, that takes a lot on you. Because you're in college, you're doing your schoolwork, you have all these demands from your sports, you're looking at your future, you're becoming an adult,
right.
So you're developing these, actual adult skills.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. That's what we just went down in college.
Yeah.
And that time there was a period where I really was burned out. I was frustrated with my tennis. I was frustrated with my academics. I really didn't have a direction of where I wanted to go, but my goals were a little bit blurry. And
had you declared your major at that point?
I was a political science major. I was actually also on academic scholarship, and I was starting to take a lot of my core political science classes.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, University of Louisville, great school. I recommend it to everyone. But as a student athlete, it's very tough sometimes when you're traveling because we were missing a lot of class.
Right.
We had a very tough schedule, and some of the political science professors made it a point to show no favoritism towards athletes.
Mm.
And sometimes I think they actually maybe wanted to make it harder for the athletes just to prove that there was no favoritism.
Right.
So, I'm missing classes, I'm missing lectures, I'm reading all of these constitutional case studies and all this stuff in the vans, on the plane, and then I'm coming and playing a match, and then I'm coming and taking a final
right.
or an exam or writing up these papers on my laptop, and I'm dealing with all that, and then we weren't doing that. We were doing well, but we weren't making the breakthrough into the rankings. So I had a lot of, stress from the tennis and academics. So for anyone, that's a tough situation. So
right.
Actually, I credit my coach, Rusty Karma. He was very understanding. I credit my parents for, talking to me, and I credit my team for, understanding some of the things that I was going through. My coach actually let me take a little break during the season between 2 of our matches to just refresh my mind, and because it's the sport of tennis is a demanding sport for anyone.
Sure.
Junior, professional, college, all the levels.
Right.
And after I took that break, I found the purpose of why I was doing this, why I was playing the sport, who I was playing the sport for. And when I looked at all those things, I had the best rest of the season I think anyone on the team had.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I got my first ATP point also that same summer.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of carried on to the summer, and finishing
so was that a turning point for you in terms of making the decision to go on the tour after you finished school?
Yeah. So I've always, had aspirations to play, professionally, and, I always wanted to.
Since you were 8.
Yeah, since I was 8, exactly. But after that time where I was really, almost burnt out, and I had that refocus, that rekindling of my, passion, I finished the rest of the year really well. I had a great summer, and I really started enjoying, again, the process, going out and running on your own, doing all these other things that are really required to be at the top of your sport. And I started enjoying developing myself again as a tennis player, which also made me develop myself as a person.
So this was the summer after your junior year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to keep everything, like the time frame straight.
Right.
So you still had to come back and have another year of school.
Right.
Was it hard to get motivated after you got that ATP point to come back for your senior year? Because there's so many players that choose not to.
Right. After that, next year was actually very motivating. After I got my ATP point, I was a senior. We had a new freshman class, which had a lot of excellent players. So I was actually a captain that year, my senior year.
Okay.
I played number one singles and doubles. I took a leadership role on the team, and I really think that the coach was very smart in doing that because it kept me motivated. It kept me accountable to pursue, a great year that year academically and athletically, and to continue, afterwards. So it's something I really credit him for.
Talk a little bit about what it means to be a freshman on a college team and coming in and as the new kid and, the older players on the team and how you interact with them, and then contrast that with, as you said, your role as a leader your senior year and what your responsibilities were in that role.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for any parent, junior tennis parent out there or a junior tennis player, when you transition from high school to college, that's the massive step as a person that you're growing. I think, everyone should have some ability to step on a college campus and experience, having 20,000 other kids, around your age, doing things with you. I think that's a great learning tool for everyone. When I went to Louisville as a freshman, I had all the not stresses, but things that you focus on when you're leaving your house the first time. I was going from North Carolina to Louisville, Kentucky.
Now it's Louisville.
Yeah, it's Louisville. That's how we say it. So,
yeah.
It's about 7 hours. So for me, my parents could visit, but it wasn't one of those things where they could just show up.
Right.
At like some of the North Carolina schools I was looking at, they could literally just show up an hour later.
Right.
So I was on my own for the first time, really. For
was that?
Period of time.
Sorry to interrupt, but was that a factor in your decision, like being far enough away that you really couldn't just run home every weekend or whatever?
Yes, it actually was. I'm a Southern boy. I love the South. Before that, I played tournaments all around the nation, but I was mostly in the South. Even if I went to Atlanta to train a couple of times, it'd be in the Southern region. So I thought for me, experiencing another different part of the country, Kentucky is considered really the Midwest. It's still in the South, but it's more Midwestern. It's very close to Indiana. And for me, I thought it'd be cool to experience another part of the country. And it wasn't somewhere that I could, if I was having problems, I could just go home on the weekend. If I didn't like the coach or the team or something, I'll just go home and, it was back in high school.
Right.
It made me more independent. I still had the option to go home because it was 7 hours, so I could make a trip to go home. But I did. That was part of my deciding factor, or it wasn't the deciding factor, but it played a role into it.
Okay. So I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
So you're talking about as a freshman coming in and how important it was to you, the upperclassmen on the team and your interaction with them and all that.
So at Louisville, we had my freshman year, we had 3 other freshmen, and we had 5 others. We had 4 sophomores, which are ahead of me, and 1 senior. So our class was actually our team was very young.
Very young, yeah.
The 3 freshmen, so there were 4 players in my class. We stayed in the same dorm. We were actually connected, so it was me and my roommate connected to a bathroom with the other 2 freshmen.
Okay.
So we literally lived together. So that made us extremely close. Anytime in college you're living with a roommate, you find out that when you literally live with another person a few feet away from you, you learn everything about them.
Yeah.
It's just a new experience.
Good, bad,
everything.
Ugly,
exactly.
not so ugly.
Exactly. Yeah. So that really made the freshman class very close. And then the sophomore class, which did the same thing, was also very close. and because we only had 9 players, our team was very close. Even though we had 3 Americans and 6 international players, so we did have a lot of international players. But for me, actually, that was also one of my first experiences with, a lot of international players, because I was from the South. But, we had New Zealand, we had England, we had India, we had Venezuela, we had France, we had Serbia.
Wow.
So I'm coming into, an 18-year-old, and you have 18 to 20-year-olds from all these different countries uniting as one team,
right,
which was pretty special. It made us very close. They made it hard for us sometimes because we were freshmen.
Right. That's their job.
Yeah, that's their job,
right.
and we learned from them. So for us at our school, we grew with that team for basically 3 years until they graduated. And then once they graduated, I was a senior.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a new freshman class that came in under us. So it was very important for us to show that freshman class what we had done to get to our, peak rankings and whatnot. When I was a freshman, though, our coach made it pretty important for everyone to take leadership. Mm-hmm. It wasn't one of those teams where, actually because we only really had 1 senior and we had 8 other underclassmen,
right,
where the seniors did everything. So for us, everyone was accountable. Everyone had a role in helping the team grow. And then the senior year, same thing, everyone had a role, but because now we had 4 seniors, it was we were looked upon a little bit in a different role because we were setting the standard for the freshman class.
Right.
So I think.
Did the culture change on the team over the course of your 4 years there, or was there an established culture that just permeated all 4 years?
That's a great question. I think the culture from my freshman year stayed pretty much the same, but it grew within those 3 years because we were the same guys.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we started having better results, the culture still changed. And then when I was a senior, we actually did begin seeing a little bit of a change in the culture because it's very important for your college coach to know your personality. He or she must, be able to manage, 10 to 12 individuals,
right,
and make those individuals one strong team. So as we had new members on our team, it was very important that he was flexible with how he looked and how he managed all of us individually. We had different characters and personalities to enter the team, and that was a little bit not tough, but it was something we had to adapt to.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a little bit of a culture change. It's not for good or bad, but there was that, and I think in college tennis generally, you start to see ebbs and flows of the teams because each program is different. You have classes come in and classes come out, so you can really see differences. Sometimes how teams can go up high in the rankings for a few years, and then how other teams can rise, and it's actually very interesting to see because the players on the team and the culture, especially in college tennis, make up a lot of the reasons why those teams do well.
Sure. Did you have the same coach all 4 years?
Yeah, so Rexy Kama, I think, has been at Louisville for maybe 20 or 25 years. He's been, a stalwart there. And he's done a great job. He built the tennis center, and he's really made a great program there. I know that they went through a tough season last year, but I know they're going to bounce back, and they're going to be having some more great success very soon. And I think the relationship between the player and the coach should be a genuine relationship. So I still talk to Rex even now. I graduated 3-4 years ago, but I still talk to him. I reach, and he gives me advice about things, not just with tennis, but, business, marketing, being a professional at life,
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're looking through a college and you're looking through a college coach, it's important that you have that understanding, and you can grow that relationship between the player and the coach, because you're going there for tennis and academics, and you're going to be developing both of those greatly in those 4 years.
Sure.
So it's very important to look for someone who can develop you in both of those aspects.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit, and let's talk about your transition to professional tennis, because that's why you're here this week, and that's how we met, sitting in the stands next to each other, watching some great tennis yesterday. So you came here to play in the qualifying tournament, and didn't get through the 2 matches, but, I mean, had some great matches. And one of the things that struck me yesterday when we were chatting was what you said about your takeaways from your matches. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that. We all say you either win the match or you learn from the match, and I feel like you really get that. So talk a little bit about how you incorporate that mindset when you go out onto the court.
Yeah, professional tennis is a whole nother beast, It's the same as, it has a lot of similarities, but you're now doing this full time, it's your career. So it's a lot more demanding. One thing that I've learned recently, I've actually heard it all throughout my entire career, but, as you grow and you develop, something finally get into your brain, I
it's
think
a boy
especially,
thing.
I think it's a boy, and, I know every parent out there has told, their son or daughter something 1,000 times. And then I think maybe for the parent, maybe it's great. I don't know because I'm not a parent, but I'm sure it's very rewarding when the son or daughter finally gets what the parent was saying, as if they'd never said it to them before.
Exactly.
But that's how we are. I think it's a certain time for everyone. But one thing that I finally caught on is with every match, with every day actually, your life, you have positives, you have things that you need to work on, and you have basically takeaways from the day. So positive can be, this is just something that I've learned. Positives can be, for your match, you serve with a great percentage, or if you're not a tennis player, you did really well at your job, did something well with your paper. If you're a academician, in high school, you did it great on your test that day. It's a positive for the day. Things you need to work on could be, for tennis, your footwork broke down in a certain part of the match. Or if you're in high school, maybe you didn't do your homework as well as you could have, or you didn't spend enough time on your homework. And same thing with your job. If we have things that we did well, we have things that we could improve. And then for the pearl of the day, or the takeaway of the day, would be, what can you do from that day that can influence how you do the next day in the future? So I really started looking at that and writing that down and having like a little journal. And once again, like the takeaway can be something like, for me, I played a great match. There were some aspects of the match that I could have done better. I'm not going to dwell on them in a negative way, but if I actually am proactive and the next time I get this opportunity in the match, I use this particular pattern or shot, which is what I'm working on. Maybe I don't do it 100% of the time, but if I do that 20% better, the next time I get that opportunity, that 20% is going to help me.
Right.
Same thing with your school. If you want to spend 20 minutes more doing your homework or something, maybe you don't get 100% on your homework, but that 20%, maybe you learn something,
I think that's one of the things with professional tennis that I've recently realized, and it's like you said, it's, you've heard it a million times, and then finally the light bulb goes on. The margins are so small in professional tennis. I mean, to watch you play and to watch Djokovic play, there's not a whole lot that's different between the two of y'all. Yet he's number one in the world, and you're having to go through qualies.
Right.
The margins are tiny. So a 20% difference, even a 1% improvement can make a huge difference in the gap, yeah?
Yeah, that's completely true. something I told you yesterday when we talked was making tiny little improvements, but being intentional to try and make those improvements is maybe more important than whether you win or lose. So let's say if you are intentionally trying to, for me, if I'm intentionally trying to hit a serve better and I'm actually focusing on making that intent, if I keep, maybe I don't make the next serve, but if I keep staying intent and focusing on that, that little bit of focus and that little bit of effort is eventually going to pay off.
Right.
All things, if you work hard enough at it, it's going to pay off. So those little differences, like you're saying, the margins are very small. If you stay positive and you keep believing and you keep working and you're intentional about it, then it's going to pay off. I think that for juniors, it's very, we all think about wins and losses, especially as a teenager and, going through junior tennis. And with a parent, I know it's very important to not, as a parent, it should be very important to not stress winning and losing, but playing the right way and developing, those skills, playing with integrity, all that kind of things like that. But, you hear that, but it's actually very important because those things are going to make the differences when, you're in college and you have a decision between, am I going to study hard, am I going to, hit extra serves, or am I going to go to that, big party that we're all have, or, or if I'm out here professionally, am I going to, do extra when literally no one's out there and no one's forcing you? You're your own, you have your coach, you're in charge of your coach, you're in charge of your fitness coach, you're paying them. And if you get mad at them, you can tell them, I don't want to work with you anymore. It's not, you're the boss, kind of. So developing those skills from a young age is very important to be able to make those decisions as a professional.
Right. So this morning, before you came down here to do this interview, you told me you went upstairs to sign in to hopefully be an alternate in the tournament. So talk a little bit about that. How does that work? And, I mean, you're here. You're trying to maximize your time here, obviously. Right. You're financially, you're not traveling with an entourage and being driven around in a limo.
Yeah, for sure. So here I have family here. So for me, I'm practicing every day. As you said, every day you're out here, you're trying to maximize. You're trying to have those positives and those takeaways for each day, right? So here, at the professional level, things happen on the ATP World Tour. People withdraw, people have illness, people have this, things happen, basically. And
especially with the Olympics.
Especially with the Olympics this week. Actually, we actually had one player withdraw already from singles and doubles. So there was actually a lucky loser this week. And a lucky loser is someone who loses in qualifying, but because there's a withdrawal from the main draw, is able to still play in the main draw. So what I did this morning was they have a little sheet, and you just sign the sheet saying that, you're available and you're here. And if there is a withdrawal or if someone's injured or anything like that, you're available to take their place in the main draw. So for me, at my level, if I'm here and that opportunity is given, for sure I have to take it. I don't have a lot of opportunities to waste, so if that's an opportunity, we definitely need to take every opportunity to get. So it's pretty exciting, it's here, you're in this great atmosphere, I've played all over the world in all different levels of tournaments. I've played futures, I've played challengers, and this is an ATP tournament, so you see all the different aspects of tennis. You see, how truly global it is and how tough it really is to be a tennis player, but you actually get a great perspective on your life, your lifestyle, when you're here at a tournament at this level.
Yeah, and so you've been traveling a bunch, and like you said, you've played all these different levels. Can you kind of enlighten us on what the main differences are between playing a futures, for example, versus playing an ATP 250 event that's in this gorgeous location, and you got a lot of perks here, and they take care of the players pretty nicely. You talk about that, and when you knew it was time to kind of strive for that next level.
Yeah, so the Futures. So the Futures is the base level of professional tennis. It's kind of like the single A, I guess, if it was a professional baseball. It's not glamorous. They do. Those tournaments do give you ranking points, though, so you're able to move through the rankings, week by week in those tournaments.
And there are qualifying for the Futures, too, just to clarify.
Yeah, so there's qualifying for those tournaments. That's how initially most people get their ATP ranking points, is playing the Futures, qualifying, going through qualifying, and winning their first main draw match, which is, for everyone remembers when they got their first ATP ranking point. But those tournaments, you have, in the U.S., you have many college players, many players that are, juniors striving to become professionals, so that's a great experience for them. You have a lot of players who played in college and are now striving for professional rankings, and then you have some guys who are playing a higher level and maybe they were injured or, they've had some kind of setback and they're coming back to play Futures. But Futures in general, the price money is very, very low.
How low?
So a $10,000 Future is the lowest. So I think if you lose in qualifying, there's no money made, so you don't receive any money. If you do make it to the main draw, or if your ranking gets you directly into the main draw, I think you get. I'm not quite sure into that number. I think maybe it's $117. So you're playing, literally another professional player. Could be ranked anything in the world. Could be coming back from an injury, a former top, 150 player.
Right.
Could be the next up-and-coming player, and you're just battling out there, and one of those players is going to get $117 that week. So, actually, really, if you look at it that way, it's actually very exciting, but you're playing at, parks. You're playing, in the United States, you're playing at parks. You're playing at some very nice clubs, but like, for instance, I played in Brazil 2 weeks ago. I was playing a $10,000 Future in Brazil, and the facility was very nice. People were very nice, but the hotel that was a part of the tournament was $350 per night, U.S.
Holy cow.
So I was not able to afford that, so I had to look for another hotel inside the city. The hotel inside the city was not very nice, so you're not staying in the nicest places. There's no physios there giving massages. Here at the ATP level, you have chefs upstairs, you have masseuse, you have, they're giving you practice balls. At the Futures level, you have to pay to get a practice ball. It's a quite contrast, but the thing is, everyone has to, not everyone, but most people start at the Future level and work their way up. But it's not somewhere where you want to stay for a long time. It's good to go and try in challengers and ATP tournaments because you see this level and there's a lot to gain. You can learn. For me, I got into the qualifying and I had a good match and I had a lot of takeaways and there was more money in the qualifying than at the Future. You win the tournament actually, so more financial gains there.
Wait, so you made more money playing qualies here, even though you didn't even get through qualies, than you would have made winning a Futures tournament?
Yes, that is correct.
Wow.
So the Future is $10,000. The winner receives, I think, about $1,300 some change. For the qualifying first round, I think I received maybe $1,400 with a hotel expenses paid for and food paid for.
Wow.
At the Futures level, you're paying for your hotels, you're paying for your stringing, you're paying for transportation, you're paying for everything. Mm-hmm. So it's a big financial burden.
So the goal is to get out of that level as quickly as possible.
The goal is to get out of that level as quickly as possible, yes. Here you have fans watching your matches. There you don't have, I've literally played in tournaments where there was not a single person watching a single match.
That's heartbreaking.
And you're out there, it's an interesting experience. You're out there literally giving your all. You're playing with some other player who's giving their all. Both of y'all could probably, one day later be playing at a super – actually, this is a perfect example. I played J.P. Smith here in qualifying, in the Grandstand Stadium.
Okay, and so let me just, for listeners, JP played at University of Tennessee, so another former college player who is grinding it out.
Yeah. So JP qualified, so he's in the main draw here. And then I think as high as 108 in the world. So he's he's done very well. He's grinding it out. I played him here this week in the Grandstand Stadium. Beautiful court, ball kids, everything that you could possibly ask for. Ice towels, fans, literally fans on the court, keeping you cool, crowd. Amazing experience. I also played JP in a future, I think, 2 to 3 years ago at a club in Canada. Literally, I think there was 3 people watching the match, and those 3 people were players. There was no spectators.
Wow.
We had water. I don't know if they gave us Gatorade. So we didn't have Gatorade, and we're the same players playing the same. Maybe we're a little better now than then, but we're the same players playing the same level, and it's just the level of the tournament that's different. So it's quite fascinating how the venue can change, but the players are still particularly around the same level.
Interesting. So we're coming down to our last 15 minutes or so. So I want to make sure we touch on everything because your story is so fascinating to me. So at what point do you look at your career and say, I'm doing as well as I'm ever going to do, it's time to put that political science degree to work? Or how do you make that decision? And I ask this of a lot of the guys that I talk to because to me that's such an interesting place, especially for someone who's below 100 or above 100, however you say that ranking, who's not earning a living from their tennis quite yet.
Right.
How do you make those decisions? And is it something you revisit week by week, month by month, once a year? How does that work?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think because tennis is so top-heavy, the top players make, a great salary, which is awesome for them. They deserve it. They're winning. That's fantastic for them. But the lower levels are losing money every week. You're losing money. So it's important to kind of not base everything on financial gain, because if you do that, you're going to, every week you're going to want to quit because you're losing money. You can have a great result. You make the finals in the future, but be in a hotel for 6, 7 days, and you still lost money. So if you look at it, with only winning or losing money, you're going to, be depressed probably because you spend all this money.
You're going to be spending your money on Xanax.
Exactly. You're going to be spending all this money, and you're not going anywhere. But for me, my career goal is to play the U.S. Open. I'm always going to be, focusing on that. My other goal is to, always help and inspire youth to make healthy and positive and productive lifestyle choices. And for me, that's using tennis. Tennis is something I've been doing my entire life.
Right.
There's probably nothing in my life that I know better than tennis at this point currently, because I've been doing it for 20-something years to this level. But I think each person has to look at themselves and their career and really know what they want. Some people play tennis for for a long time. Others, decide this isn't what they want or they've lost their passion. That being said, the general age for tennis is getting older. This year at Wimbledon they had, I think, 20 or 30 people in their 30s.
In their 30s, I know, that was crazy.
Playing the main draw, which is
at an incredibly high level.
Incredibly high level.
5 sets.
Yeah. And you have guys 28. Guys are starting to reach their peak at 28. No, not even their peak. They're just starting to break through at 28, 29, 30, and playing to their 33. So you have that aspect looking at, well, maybe if I keep going, if I keep plugging along, you can make it. You have a guy like Victor Estrella, who I think won a title at 30-something. Won his first title at 30, played futures for a long time, quit. Actually, he quit, came back, started doing really well, made top 100, a great player, great guy. And then you have young phenoms. You have 20-year-olds making it. You have Alex Zverev, who's doing great. We've been playing the same futures a few years ago.
Right.
So you see all these different people coming in and out of these futures tournaments, playing these high-level tournaments, because those tournaments have great players, right? You have to kind of look at yourself personally and see, am I developing? Am I going on the road that I want to go on? Am I able to make a career choice? Do I have other opportunities that I'm looking at? Am I, happy with where I am in my life? Or if not even if I'm not happy, do I see myself, being more productive in something else? So I think that's something that you have to, be aware of. If you still are financially able and you're still passionate, everyone has told me, if you're passionate and able and you're getting better and you're financially able to, don't go to law school just yet. Law school, you can go to law school at, 27, 28. You can be behind that desk for a long time, and which is maybe something I'll do eventually. Mm-hmm. But currently, though, my passion has never been higher. I'm getting better every week. I'm enjoying it. I'm having all these great experiences. So right now, my focus is tennis. Obviously, like I said, I've launched a brand new website, which is www.andrewcarter.com.
Which we'll have a link to on our site.
Yeah, and on there, I'm having a live videos. I'm taking videos from these tournaments from all over the world. I have a blog. I have it where you can email me, you can write to me. I'm writing about my life experiences on the tour. I'm going to have some mentoring blogs where I'm not just talking about tennis. I'm talking about some of the things that I've learned personally in my life that have helped me in tennis, but have also helped me, with my other opportunities and to help me get sponsors. I have a great sponsor with Solinco Sports.
Yay, Solinco. My Solinco backpack is with me every day.
Yeah. Shout out to Solinco. Thank you so much. And my other clothing sponsor is Boast USA. They're a fantastic company on the rise. Very fashionable gear. They're actually the sponsor this week.
I was going to say, yes.
The Atlanta Open. And
they're clothing all the ball kids, the officials, all the volunteers.
Yeah, so I definitely want to give a big thank you to them and, for helping me, prolong my career and helping me with other things in that venue. But, yeah, that's a great question. It's very important to still be out there and be productive because for me, this week I received messages via my Twitter and my Instagram from young urban kids looking up to me and asking me, actually I had one kid specifically ask me, hey man, I'm looking up to you. I watched you play this professional match. Do you think I can do what you do?
Wow.
And honestly,
I've got chills.
Yeah, I'm not a top 100 in the world ranked player. I'm not playing Grand Slams currently right now at this moment. But for me, someone to message me that and to ask me that they were proud of me basically and they want to do something that I'm doing, that actually was maybe the highlight of my week. Actually, It was for sure. It was more important than me winning or losing that match, but this guy, is out there and he wants to work hard and, maybe he'll be better than me. Maybe, I don't know. But if he has that passion, he's inspiring and he's trying to do something with his life, I think that's just as important, as maybe winning some matches here and there. So, for me, I definitely want to move forward. I'm definitely working as hard as I can to move forward with my tennis. That is my main goal. I want to, reach all my tennis goals. But, there's other things, and I'm going to be developing other things with my website and my blog to help reach out and do other things professionally. Mm-hmm. But, yes, I am still working very hard at my tennis career.
What do you think needs to happen to close the gap financially between the top players and you guys that are out here grinding away?
Yeah, well, they started to slowly increase the prize money distribution at the lower level tournaments. That hadn't changed since the 70s, mm-hmm. and everything has been more since the 70s, except for the prize money of tennis players. So that needs to change. We need to market more of the people playing tennis. You have people from all different backgrounds. You have people from around the world. You have, just here in America, you have different, I'm African American, you have African American, you have Asian, you have Latinos. You have all these, you have all these people coming from different socioeconomic and different demographics. Mm-hmm. And we have to market that. If we really want this sport to be great and to be inclusive, we have to really be inclusive with our marketing. We have to market, young guys. We have to market older guys. We have to market people that are, about to break through, super exciting. We have to market those guys that have just kept plugging along, and they're making it too, So we have to, talk more about, we have to also connect those that have been doing very well with those that are trying to start, and then we also have to connect those that have been doing it long and, are having some success with those that want to be where they are. Mm-hmm. And I think when we bring those things together, tennis is going to be a lot more marketable. It's going to be a lot more personable. You're not going to just see the same guys over and over again. And people are going to relate. And when people relate, there are fantastic guys out here. Our athletic abilities are great, but there's fantastic people and personalities. And I think if you can market those personalities, along with the fantastic tennis that you're seeing, people are going to like tennis a lot more. It's not going to be, a stuffy sport, with everyone wearing, collared shirts, and you can't.
As you sit here in your collared shirt.
I'm a very nice bow shirt, but you can't clap in between. You have to. It's going to get more exciting for everyone, bringing different people and different demographics to the matches. So I think it's really going to be something that's going to help tennis grow.
What do you think about personalities like Nick Kyrgios, who, he's kind of been tagged the bad boy of tennis, of the next-gen group, and, my personal feeling is I think it's good for the sport.
Yeah, Nick's a great guy. He's not, to me, he's been nice every time I've met him. He's a different kind of guy. He likes basketball. He likes, different types of music, and honestly, I know there's been drama with him doing some things on court, but I'm sure that he knows some of the things he's done maybe haven't been the most, presentable things. But at the same time, you have to let him grow and develop. He's very young. He's out here at the top of the sport, doing things. So he's going to grow. He's going to develop. We're all growing. We're all developing. But I think having someone with that kind of excitement and attitude is very exciting. It's fun to watch. It's going to bring a different type of fan to the court, and overall for everyone, I think that's what we want.
And before we close, we're down to about our last 3 minutes. I want to just pick your brain a little bit about the importance of the college tennis experience. And, I talk about this a lot, the kids that forego college and go right on the tour versus those that spend some time in college. And yesterday's match between Chris Eubanks and Riley Opelka was so interesting to me because you had a guy who's going into his junior year of college and is planning to stay all 4 years versus a guy who made the decision to go right into the pros. And the match was 7-6, 7-6. Riley won, but it was 7-6, 7-6.
Right.
So they were neck and neck.
Yeah, Chris is playing great tennis. He's a great guy. He's working. He works very hard. He's going to a great school at Georgia Tech with a great coaches, great facilities. So he's getting, I think a lot of great development there at Georgia Tech. He's developing as a person. He's having great experiences there. And for me, that's what I did as well. I took the college route. He's also getting an education. Let's not forget that.
Right.
So he's getting a great education from a fantastic university. As an American, I think that's a good value. But Riley's playing great tennis. He has support. He has a wild card, and he's having these opportunities given to him. So it's very tough to turn down these opportunities. I don't think really there's a right or wrong decision. It's for each person. You don't know what they're going through, and you don't know what's been presented to them.
Right.
So Riley's a great guy. He works very hard. He's working every day to get better and to reach his goals as well. But maybe for something different. So I think either way is good, but in my opinion, I like college tennis.
Good. Well, I'm all about college tennis, too, and that's a great segue to just remind you guys to get signed up for the Saul Schwartz Save College Tennis All-In tournament coming up in Baltimore August 20th and 21st. The link to register is at the top of our Facebook page, so please take a look and get your juniors signed up. And I want to just say thank you so much to Andrew. I hope you get that spot in the main draw. I'd love to come watch you play. And all the best, and thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank everyone who's listening, and thank you to my parents for always supporting me. Everything they've done, they've been very supportive, And you can contact me through my website at andrewparkscarter.com or my Facebook page at Andrew Parks Carter Tennis, and my Instagram is also Andrew Parks Carter, and my Twitter is ap.carter1. So I can be contacted through that. If you have any questions or anything, I'm always available to speak.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And to my listeners, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Parenting Aces.
It's the final week of the Mega Mattress Event at Ashley Home Store, only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store. Pay no interest for 8 years on queen mattresses from Tempur-Pedic and iComfort, both starting at just $21 a month. Or save up to $1,000 on select queen mattresses from Beautyrest and Sealy Posturepedic. Hurry in now for the Mega Mattress Event, only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store, Ashley Home Store. This is home. Offer subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payment required. See store for details. It's the final week of the Mega Mattress Event at Ashley Home Store, only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store. Pay no interest for 8 years on queen mattresses from Tempur-Pedic and iComfort, both starting at just $21 a month. Or save up to $1,000 on select queen mattresses from Beautyrest and Sealy Posturepedic. Hurry in now for the Mega Mattress Event, only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store, Ashley Home Store. This is home. Offer subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payment required. See store for details.